Elon Musk, who has been historically actually quiet over the last few weeks. He had his big falling out with President Trump. They seemed to make amends. Things calmed down. But now Elon has made some pretty stark political statements. You could even say political threats. Again, I'm someone who I like Elon Musk. I think he's done some amazing things for this world, and we should not discount his genius in that sense and some of the brilliant work he's done. But he certainly is not someone who minces words. And he just issued a statement about the big, beautiful bill saying every member of Congress who campaigned on reducing government spending and then immediately voted for the biggest debt increase in history should hang their heads in shame, and they will lose their primary next year if it's the last thing I do on earth. So again, pretty hardcore rhetoric coming from Elon Musk.
That's right. He also had another tweet where he said, if this insane spending bill passes, the America Party will be formed the next day. Our country needs an alternative to the Democrat-Republican Uni Party so that the people can actually have a voice. That is, as we are live watching the Senate having their full vote after an overnight session of the Vote-a-rama. They just got to 51. Budget reconciliation in the Senate only takes a simple majority as opposed to getting to 60 votes to get over the filibuster rules. So as we are here now talking to you, we are at 51-50 with Vice President Vance casting that tie-breaking vote. So 101 votes for those of you doing simple math. That's because the vice president stepped in to cast the tie-breaking vote.
Shows you how close that we are in this country, how divided we are in this country. It was a 50-50 vote, and Vice President Vance had to go in to break that tie. Phone lines are jammed. I see a lot of comments coming in about Elon Musk, even saying, what is it that Elon can even do? I saw a comment on YouTube. Well, I can tell you what he do. He's got a lot of money, a ton of money, the most money. So he can primary pretty much anybody he wants to. Now, that doesn't mean it's successful. He also is vowing to launch, I guess it would be tomorrow, the America Party, which would be a third party. Now, historically, I'm going to give a little bit of grace to Elon Musk because I think he's done things that have bucked the system and changed the world. Tesla, SpaceX, a lot of things like that, PayPal, eBay, all the concepts that he really was a part of or even created. Historically, creating a third party is a disaster in terms of never really taking off. You don't understand the machine behind it, and the machine behind the Republican Democrat Party is so huge, it goes well beyond one person's individual wealth. Now, again, never say never, and I never say never to someone like Elon Musk. Here's the problem. He is certainly going to siphon people who are more conservatives because I believe him, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK, that group of what we said were kind of the Avengers group that came in. Maybe you call them the UFC group that came in. I believe they are largely responsible for President Trump winning his second term as handily as he did.
Well, and in a congressional race, it would be a lot easier for you to start to make some waves and get candidates elected. We have third-party candidates that are members of Congress, of the Senate, that are independents, as they don't have a natural caucus within the Republican and Democrat system, but they can get elected. So could that also be different? It's someone with a lot of money. When you start pouring millions of dollars into individual congressional races, that actually can start to make a difference in those races. Then can you start to build momentum and change the power structure of the United States Congress? And then you start to see an opening for the executive branch as well. If someone were to be able to do it, it would be that method as opposed to a third-party candidate wanting to lead a new party by running for president, which is historically how we've seen it happen. But if you have money to flood these local races, sometimes you could get somewhere different.
A lot of people are asking what happened to Elon. Why did he switch? There's the version probably that Donald Trump will tell you, probably a version he will tell you. He's saying it's because this is specifically what he was brought in to stop, would be something like this, a major spending bill. President Trump says it is because he is ending the EV mandate. I think it's probably somewhere in between there. And I actually think, and this is just my theory, my thought, I have no proof or evidence of this, is when you get inside that Washington machine, you realize how broken it is, and you realize that a single person cannot go do what they've been called to do because the system is bigger than them, and they will be squashed, unfortunately, if not held accountable.
Well, and I think also when you talk about not understanding the machine, this process is a bad process, right? Budget reconciliation is not really how the American public should work. This isn't how we should pass these type of things. But that is the tool that is necessary to get a lot of these things through.
Let's take a call about that. Robert in California on line 4. Robert, you're on the air.
You know, I love most everything that Donald Trump is doing, most everything that Elon Musk has done. I just don't understand why, after all of this budget cutting, fraud finding, elimination of waste, they still can't pass a balanced budget. So I might not agree with Elon Musk creating such a division, but I see his point.
And that's
why
what we
are
were
we
saying,
not getting a balanced budget?
Robert, exactly. And that's what Will was just about to break down, which is why this process has to happen, even as distasteful as it can be at times.
That's right. And the short answer, Robert, why can't we get a balanced budget? Because Congress is addicted to spending. The left is addicted to spending on social programs, and the conservatives, the right, is typically more addicted to spending on defense programs. Now, there can be civil debate about that, but that doesn't exist anymore in our country. And so when you start to see this, the only way to actually get priorities through at this point is by getting around the 60 vote threshold in the Senate. Because if you had 60 senators of your party, you could pass a true balanced budget with your priorities, cutting things that you really want to get rid of and lay that on the table. But we don't have that. So what is budget reconciliation? This is a process where the House and Senate can work together, and this is very limited in what it can do, but it can have big impact. It can only affect mandatory spending. So mandatory spending aren't a lot of things that could be cut that are funded through appropriations bills. It's typically the big entitlement programs like Medicaid, like Medicare, unemployment benefits. That's why those also are the things that are brought up, because the things you can make changes to are the ones that also are kind of the most taboo for senators and congressmen to affect. Now, they can only affect 3 things: revenue, which is taxes, mandatory spending, which is a lot of those entitlement programs, and thirdly, they can also work on. Just had it in front of me. They cannot make broad policy changes. They can also affect the debt limit. So you can't just put in an amendment that's like, I want to name something that it has to be related to spending, debt limit, or taxes. President Trump ran on making his tax cuts permanent. He ran on funding the border. So those are things that cost money on the balance sheet. The things that he really can't affect are the things that DOJ was really going after. A lot of that is discretionary spending, government contracts, things that aren't established by law. They are. And that's about 30 to 35% of the entire U.S. spending that can't even be touched by this process. So a lot of the things that are mandatory spending, they have to work within the cards they're dealt. That's why they are doing things like entitlement reform, welfare reform. A lot of the things that have to do with Medicaid are things that Bill Clinton did and was praised for in the early 90s. Work requirements for young, single, able-bodied people that could get work. Not people on disability, not people that have dependents that they can't leave. This is the same type of welfare reform that President Clinton did and was praised for. And now you're seeing Democrats, because it's President Trump, saying he is going to literally kill people with this bill. So you have to work with what you're given. And that's also why it doesn't meet the priorities of Elon Musk to just slash spendings, because the things you can cut aren't things that are politically acceptable or maybe even acceptable to a broad base of people to just start slashing. And that's why we're left with budget reconciliation, which gets you to the 50 vote threshold and can pass.
We are so excited to announce the ACLJ's brand new app, completely redesigned to provide you with the best tools available to partner with us at the ACLJ. You can watch the daily Secular program, sign the petitions, customize your ACLJ membership experience, donate with the click of a button, and receive up-to-the-minute critical updates that the mainstream media can't censor. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to your phone's app store, search ACLJ, and click install. It's that simple.